Right, we have made it to the end of our exploration of the 7 modes. So the last one is another weird one. It's a Locrian mode, and it is T to T. Now the reason it's weird is we've got this tone, tone, tone pattern again, which creates that sort of, it was called a tritone, that's why it's tritone, tone, an augmented fourth, which is a really sort of open sounding interval, and because there isn't many semitones around, it's actually quite hard for our ears to orientate themselves into tune, so you'll hear that in a little bit. So let's have a go at just saying the solfa so we get our heads around it. So it goes Ti, do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. Ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do, ti. Okay, so it's basically feels like do to do, but you've added the T on the end. Let's have a go at doing the rhythm. So again, we've got the semitone right at the start, so we've got to be careful. We're going syncopated straight away. So 3, 4. Ti, ta, ta, ti, ta, 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 ta. Rest. Ta, 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 ti, ta, ta, ti, ta. By now we should be getting used to this. Ti, ta, ta, ti, ta. Having the semitone with the 2 tones in between. That creates that lovely syncopated rhythm. Let's have another go. 3, 4. Ti, ta, ta, ti, ta, 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 ta. Ta, 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 ti, ta, ta, ti, ta. Okay, now the notes feel a bit weird. Now this is where you need the finger pattern for C major 2 octaves almost. So if you haven't learnt to shift on the violin, that's absolutely fine, because the highest note we're going to go to is a top B. Now this is quite a tricky note to tune on the violin, especially if you've got a low 1, so it's quite a big stretch. Okay, to help you find that note on the violins, underneath where your 4th finger goes is a harmonic. Okay, so rather than pushing your hand to reach it, very gently rest your finger on and then melt into the string, and that should give you your B, and then stretch back for your 1st finger, rather than planting your 1st finger and then finding it quite tricky to stretch. Cellos and violas, your top B is going to be the 1st finger on the A string, so that's fine. Other violins who are doing this in 3rd position, just remember to stop at the top and don't do the full C major 2 octaves, and choose whichever position you want to experiment with doing this one in. Okay, so we're starting on B. I'm going to 2 beats per note. So B, C, D, E, F natural, G natural, A, B, there's that tritone. That's the stretch that's hard to tune. Let's start from the top. B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B. Okay, so I wouldn't normally play that in 1st position because of that stretch. So if you've only learnt the position and you're not doing it in 3rd position and you're struggling with that stretch, don't worry. Okay, you've got the idea. The theory is more important than the actual notes at this point. Okay, so I'll play you the scale. Very weird, this one. Very, very, very rarely used. Okay, but let's see if we can add the rhythms to it. So let's put our beat on. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest. So there we go, we have got the 7 modes. Now the way that I've shown you, introduced you to these modes, is thinking of them in terms of solfa. So Ionian is do to do, Dorian re to re, Phrygian me to me, Lydian fa to fa, Mixolydian so to so, Aeolian, otherwise known as the minor scale, la to la, Locrian t to t. Okay, now and what we've done is we've moved up the notes of the scale of a C major scale, but we started and ended in different places, and that's fine. That's a really good way of introducing yourself to them. Now I'm going to do one more video that the more advanced of you might want to have a look at, which is where you keep the starting note of the scale the same, and then you work out the patterns of tones and semitones of each mode based on the same starting note. So that means you're not using the C major notes anymore. You're having to use lots of accidentals and different things. So if you feel like you've mastered these, you can play them along with the computer app super fast. You know the solfa forwards and backwards. You can clap the rhythms. And you can start applying it to other keys. So let's say you were learning G major, you could do all of the scales, all of the things that had G major 2 octaves. You could do exactly the same process as we've done with C major. Then have a look at the last video, which is about how to create the modes but keeping the same starting. But this is stuff that I wasn't introduced to until I was probably in my late teens. But I think it's actually something that's really interesting to learn about early, and do in a sort of rhythm challenge way, and a bit of a brain teaser to make you think about your scales in a way that you wouldn't normally. All right, so enjoy the computer games, challenge yourself, and yeah, enjoy the world of modes.